Hey guys, this is Vale and welcome to my channel. And in this video today, this is going to be our second part to my previous video about SQL injection, and the basic ones are the classical ones, of course. So in this video I'm not going to be explaining everything bit by bit, and I'm directly going to dive into a vulnerable machine and perform SQL injection in it. Now I'm not going to describe any of this because in the previous video, which was about 60 minutes, 1 hour, something like that. So every one of the meanings, starting from what is SQL, why do we need to use SQL, then selecting basic information from SQL server and displaying it onto the screen, then basic commands such as order by, then union selects. So every one of these things has been explained in that video. So if you are very new to this and do not know much about SQL itself, I would recommend going to the previous video, watching that thoroughly, and then coming back to this video. But for people who already knows what SQL is and has been using automated SQL injection tools and wanted to learn a manual version, so this video is going to be about that, and I'm going to directly dive into performing SQL injection. Now in this video, I'm going to be doing SQL injection with the vulnerable machine called Kioptrix3. Now Kioptrix3 is a OSCP prep series VMs developed by Vulnhub. Now the first part and second part is not very much focused on SQL injections, but this part is. And when I myself searched YouTube and forums for manual SQL injection videos on Kioptrix3, I didn't get much of the results because this is more of a get the job done type of box, get to root type of box. So you do not need to know much about what you are doing, but if you do know, then it's going to be good for you anytime. So most of the tutorials has been covered with SQL map, and this virtual machine, this vulnerable virtual machine, comes with a lot of vulnerable points. So each of them has been done with automated tools. Most of them has been done with automated tools. So in this video I'm going to be directly driving into Kioptrix3 VM and going to show only the SQL injection part of it, and I'm going to do the SQL injection by writing manual queries. So let's get going and directly dive into SQL injection. So I'm going to stop making the video of me on the left corner. So from this part the video is going to be audio only, and I'm just going to share my screen, so you cannot see me anymore. So again, I'm telling you, if you are new to SQL injection and SQL itself, go to the previous video that I have uploaded a few days ago, watch that, and then come back to this video. Okay, so I'm not going to be figuring out the IP address of the boxes themselves because I already know the IP, and the website that KVM3 has is already open on my desktop, and I'm not going to enumerate and try to find the vulnerable point in this website because I already know where it is. So if you just go to this link, you can see there is sorting options, and if I go on photo ID, you can see that we are getting an URL where it says ID equal to 1. So if I delete this part and just get on with this single quote, you will see that I directly get an SQL error, and this means that the vulnerable, or the precise thing to say is, the malformed query directly went into the SQL server, and the SQL server's reply is directly being shown into the HTML. So as of now, I already know that this vulnerable machine is actually vulnerable to SQL injection. So let's move on to Burp Suite. Where is the setting? I cannot find. I think yes, preferences. I'm directly going to go into the proxy settings, from where I can select the proxy, port 8080, this is okay, and now I'm going to launch Burp Suite. Okay. So now Burp Suite is opened. Now just let me refresh this page, and I can catch that with Burp Suite, and from that point on I will just use Burp Suite to perform the injection. So as I have captured the request, I'm just going to send it to the repeater. Now all of these things has been explained in a detailed way in the first video, so again I'm telling, if you don't know what I'm doing, just head out to the previous video and then come back. So I'm just going to turn the intercept off from here, go to repeater, and we get this value, and from here we can go ahead and run SQL injection commands. Now before that, just let me go ahead and open up a text editor, because then we are going to make notes right here. So okay, close that. Proceed. So let me try again with the single quote and see what do I get from here. So I don't know why its website is unable to render the page, but you can see that in the last part of the display we get that there is an error in the SQL syntax. So now let's test some basic payloads to see if this actually works. So let's go ahead and say plus or 1 equals 1 and this common sign, and it should work. So let's see if it has worked. No, it hasn't worked. Why didn't this work? So okay, so as you can see that the original query that was given by the programmer here was, the statement was ended right here. This is the statement that I personally supplied, so we can actually cancel that. But here we can see that order by parent ID sort name is also being appended to the line. So what I personally figured out from this error, that is, there is 2 quotes and this one should be there, but it is not. So I don't know why, but probably the command is being executed something like select something from some table which we don't know about, where ID is equal to 1. So if the query was just like 1, we would get an error, but in that case the SQL error that we are getting is that we are giving 2 such single quotes. Now this means that there is some error within the code, because both of the single quotes are being actually sent in. So one thing that I didn't actually mention in the first video is that when we are working with integer variables, in this case 1 is an integer variable, so when we are working with integer variables we do not need to give single quote. So I guess that the programmer also didn't use single quote here, so I'm just going to go ahead with 1 and check if it's vulnerable. 1 or 1 equals 1. Should this work? Let's see. Wow, it did actually work. So let's see in the browser what is the HTML response that we get. So we are getting nothing extra, but also didn't get an SQL error, so which means that the SQL injection actually worked. So let's go ahead and enumerate the number of columns. So what should be the query for enumerating the number of columns here? So let's write it in the notepad so we can take notes from the errors and from what is displayed on the web page. So the command should be 1 or, okay, not or exactly, so I'm going to have to remember giving the plus sign. So 1 union plus select plus 1. Let me try with this and try to enumerate the number of columns this table currently has. So if we go ahead with this, do we get an error? Yep. Now what you can see, and this has also been shown in the previous video, that when the number of columns from both of the select statements, that is previous to union and after union, do not match, we get this error. So the number of columns for both of the select statements didn't actually match in this case, which is the number of columns from the current table, and the query that I did, which is using only 1 column, doesn't have the same number of columns. So we are going to go ahead and try with 2. Let's see what it gives. Again we are getting the error, so let's try with 3. Nope. Let's try with 4. And no. Let's try with 5. Nope. Let's try with 6. Oh, I think I got one. Yep, no errors. So this means that we actually got a positive result. Now we have to see this in the browser so we can see what information is exposed, what and which columns are exposed. Wow, so you can see that these are actually the results, but besides that only the columns 2 and 3 are getting exposed, which means we can only leverage the second and the third column into giving us more information about the database, about the users, and about other tables in this current database. So 2 and 3 is the number of 2 and 3 is the exact columns that we can use to leverage MySQL into giving us more data. So let's form the next query, as we have already figured out that we can use only second and third columns. Okay, now let's check the second query. So as we now know that we can only use second and third columns, we have to remember that and form the query so we can only use the second and third columns. So 1 plus union plus select. Now we are going to enumerate what tables are in the current database. So the command for that is going to be select table name and table schema. So the table schema is a database, and the table name are all the tables that exist in a corresponding database that is also going to be displayed right here. So select union select table name table schema, and only the second and third column, so we have to give 1 here. This is going to be taking the space of 2, this is going to be taking the space of 3, and then 4, 5 and 6 from information schema dot tables, where table schema is not equal to information schema. I'm going to copy and paste this because we are going to use it more than one time here now. So, and table schema not equal to performance schema. Then, and table schema is not equal to MySQL, and table schema not equal to phpMyAdmin. So let's type this and see what results I get. So let's head into Purp Suite, paste the, okay, did I do something wrong? And the table schema, so I think there is a mistake or error that I made. Let me check again. Everything is perfectly okay here. Information schema, table schema. I think everything is right over here. So let's send this and see if I get an error. So no error, we do not get any error, so which means the malformed SQL query actually worked. So let's see the response in the browser. Okay, nice. So let me look at what tables do we get. So gallery is going to be the databases, because the third variable was gallery, is the database. So you can see the table name is the first one and table schema is the second one. Here as well, so the table name is the first one and table schema is the second one, and the table schema represents the database. So gallery is the database for all the cases here. Is it? Yes. The only database that we have is gallery, and all the listed interesting tables that we have is dev accounts, gallerific comments, gallerific galleries, gallerific photos, gallerific settings, stats, users. So to me the most interesting tables are dev accounts and users. So let me copy these and make notes so we can later query these things. So gallerific users, and the other one was, I think, dev accounts, just to make sure. Dev accounts. So there was an underscore which I didn't see. You can see that. So these are the two tables that we are most interested in. So now to display information from these two tables, we need to figure out what number of columns that these tables have, so we can actually fill in the blanks with the original table that we are using right now. So let's make the query. Union select column name. So now we are going to use the maybe the second placeholder. So 1 2 2 is taking the place of column name. So 3 4 5 6 from information schema.columns, where table name is equal to dev accounts. So dev accounts probably represents developer accounts in this database by its name. Of course, I'm not sure of anything. So union select one column name from information schema.columns, where table name is dev accounts. So let's go ahead and execute this query and see what information we get. Let's move on to Burp Suite and copy paste this, send. Do we get an error? Yep, we got an error. Why? Okay, I think I missed the quotes. Yep, that's what I thought. Let's send this again, and we did not get any errors. So let's show the response in the browser. Okay, so we have the column names, ID, username, password. So the most important things that we need to take note is the username and password. So there is no fancy spelling in here, but we are still going to take notes. So we can say dev accounts has username and password. Now we are going to do the same, but with gallerific users table. So let's paste this, but in this part we are just going to give gallerific. Okay, I'm just going to copy this because I'm not sure about the spelling. Okay, what? Gallerific users. I'm not going to save, so let's go ahead and send this query to see what exactly happens. So let's move on, execute the query. No errors as well, so show response in browser. Okay, we also have user ID, username, password, but also have user type, first name and last name, email, date joined. So you can see that we can get a lot of information by querying each of these columns. So we are not interested in those things right now, but we can actually. The most important things that I particularly notice is the username, password, the user type, the first name, last name, and the email. The rest of the things are not very important, I guess. Maybe the join code is, but I do not know the purpose of it right now. So I'm just going to take note of the username and last. Okay, no. Here also we have username and password. So I need to make note of this. But this time, so I'm just going to give it same for the other table, because typing gallerific users is hard enough. So now let me query the database and find out what the username and passwords are. So the command would be select username. Okay, first I'm going to give in 1, because the only 2 columns that we can actually use to display our information is the second and the third columns again. So select 1, username and password, then 1 2 3 4 5 6 from the table name was, I think I forgot that. So okay, just let me go ahead and query this again so we can find out what the database was by itself. See, that's why I make notes. No chance of error then. Show response browser. Go ahead and run this. So the database name is gallery, right? Okay, so from gallery, did I paste that actually? No. So gallery dot dev accounts, I guess. I'm going to find out the information from dev accounts first. Dev accounts. So let's copy and paste this onto Burp Suite and send. I think I'm getting an error. Yep. So what is the problem here? Select 1, then username, password, 456 from gallery.dev accounts. So what is probably the error here? I'm not sure. Do I still get the error? Nope, I didn't get an error. So I think I think we have successfully made the query, and we can understand from, okay, what is the error that I'm getting? Okay, let me check the query again. So okay, I just forgot to do union. All right, so let's go ahead and copy this and send. Do we get an error? No. So let's go ahead and show the response in the browser so it's more easy to use. Perfect. So wow, we got a username called Drake and a password hash. So we are going to take notes right here. So, and the other one that we get is this one. All right, nice, very nice. And this was from dev accounts, right? So let's go ahead and go for users. So this is going to be the same, except the table would be users, right? Gallery dot galleryfic, GALLARIFIC underscore users. So this is going to be the query, and let me go ahead and run this. Send. Copy response. So admin, and I'm just directly getting the password right here, so I think no need to copy, but still I'm doing it for giving the notes, no problem. Okay, so let me crack these hashes first and see. Okay, just let me run another query, but this time from my SQL table. So 1 plus union plus select plus 1 user password 1 2 3 4 5 6 from mysql.user. Let me see if this works. Wow, we got a lot of things, I see. So just take notes because those two are actually different password hashes. So let me make some notes. Then again we got this, and again this. I don't know what use do I have for this. So to know what use we have, we probably have to go and hack the other parts of the vulnerable virtual machine. So I'm not going to go ahead to that, but let me just show you if I have made any use of these SQL injections that I have done till now. So let me go ahead and crack any of the passwords, maybe lone ferret. So lone ferret is going to be the username, and this is the password hash. So I'm going to go on a online website to do this. So let me first turn off the proxy because we do not need that anymore. So turn off the proxy and directly go to this website, and just let me refresh so I see that everything is alright. So this is going to be the hash, the password, the type of password hash is MySQL, and let's see if the database has a password for this kind of hash already stored on their database. Wow, we got Star Wars. Okay, so let's make notes. Let's do this for Drake now. So let's do it Drake. So decrypt, and wow. So just to be clear, in a real website, the password cracking or the SQL injection by itself is not going to be this easy, because as I have told you on the first video, real world scenarios are more complex. But still, to understand those complex level of SQL injections, you need to know the simple one very well. So we already have the password for this. So up till now, let's see if I can escalate any privileges from cracking those two passwords. So when I scanned these virtual machine, I have already found out that the virtual machine uses an SSH port. See? So let me go ahead and try to connect SSH with one of these credentials. let's see what happens. So SSH lone ferret at red 192.168.1.17. So the password for it was, I guess, Star Wars. So see, Star Wars. So we are in. So if I just type in who am I, I'm getting lone ferret. So we can actually see the list of files right there. So let's try with Drake's. So permission is denied. I think that the password for Drake is in MySQL is not also the password for Drake in SSH, but we can see that the password for MySQL and the password for SSH for the user lone ferret is the same. So these type of mistakes happen all the time in real world, that is using the same password in multiple places. So as you can see, we have cracked into the box, into the vulnerable box, into the user lone ferret by hacking into the SQL server that is running on the background. So I think I was very clear in demonstrating an SQL injection attack on a live website that was, of course, has been made manually vulnerable. So this is going to be the end of the video. I hope that you have understood what I have shown up till now, and if you are confused on why I have used those comments that I did, please go over to my previous video and watch that. Then these comments would be pretty clear to you. So see you next time when I come with another video. I don't know about what. So see you later. Thank you.